Okay, thanks, Sharon. All right, call the meeting of the Infrastructure Committee to order. Notice was probably posted on November the 28th. Item one is to approve the minutes of the 11:14 and the 11:28 no quorum meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item two is discussion regarding our HVAC issues on the ninth floor of the courthouse. Anyone have an update? Okay, item three, no action unless you all have questions or comments. Okay, item three is a progress report on our courthouse elevators. Seeing nothing new, no action. Four is an update on the possibility of new service agreement with Vicinity. Anyone? Unless there are questions, no action. Five is an update on our capital project specific to the TIF 2. Stace, do you have anything new?
Nothing new at this point.
Do y'all have questions of Stacy? No action. Six is an update on our TIF 2 and TIF 2A budgets. Anything new here?
No change.
Any questions of Stacy? No action. Seven, discussing possible action on the capital improvements list. Anything here? Stacy, anything?
I haven't updated it. I'm waiting for projects to get ratified by the BOCC. I assume there'll be some on there for Monday. Then I can add them to the list.
Okay, we have two projects, Stacy, that are on this list. The Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office and the Oklahoma County Emergency Operations Center. I've begun to hear some conversation that perhaps Kraus may be back on the table as a location for those two entities. Do you have any information?
Secondhand information. I've heard some of the same rumors that you have.
Okay. At one point in time, did you say that deal, the sale had closed?
I don't think it's ever closed, to my knowledge.
Okay. Have you received any information, Gretchen, along those lines? Okay. All right. Just must be a wild rumor. Is there a motion to receive Stacy's update?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 10, or 8, I apologize, is discussion and possible action on the ARPA projects list. Anything new, Stacy, there?
No, I just pull those out of the capital list and make its own list. So
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. 9 is discussion and possible action on a possible use for the property at 741 Northeast 23rd. That's the old social services building. I know that we had looked at that possibly as a location for emergency management. I think Miles had mentioned. Do you have any update on?
I don't have an update.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and carry this over then. No action necessary there. 10 is discussion and possible action on a new right-of-way permit. Stacy?
Yes, this, from time to time since I've been here, we've had citizens that live adjacent to our right of ways asked to get out and do some work on them, similar to utility companies, and we just really haven't had a way to make that happen. Maybe the superintendents have worked with them and done some things, but we kind of have a need to make it a more formal process. So this right-of-way application has been modeled right after our utility company applications. We changed a few of the paragraphs, but it's pretty applicable to mostly drainage issues that the citizens have adjacent to our right-of-ways. The DA's helped me rewrite this, and so they're aware of it. And I really recommend that we have this type of document that our citizens can take advantage of. They basically bring a request to me just like the utility company would, and then they work a project with our superintendents if it's all approved, and we get it, usually a drainage problem solved.
this something you need recommended to BOCC, or you're just,
Yeah, the BOCC, it'd have to be their policy, so.
and is this document that's on this what you want forwarded?
Yes.
I move to recommend the right away. Oh, Gretchen's changing something. I'm not doing my motion yet then.
I thought we had the typos and stuff out of it, but I would like the discussion just so that we can forward it to the BOCC and get a clean document to them.
Okay, because as I remember, I said this was just a draft.
Yeah,
This document.
I incorporated your changes.
Okay. So, on paragraph 3, the actual right of way.
Write that down.
You know, I don't know what, this kind of work would entail, you know, the utilities have a right to use the right of way as well. So bearing that, you know, they'd be responsible to them. I think that was my concern. You know, if they cut Cox's line or OG&E's line, or, you know, I just can't visualize what might happen out there in the field, Stacy. So if you could kind of, I think it might be helpful to walk the idiots in the room. They probably all know, but I don't know.
Well, if a citizen were to hire a contractor to do some drainage work or build some berms for site proofing or something like that, they would have to have our permission, of course, and work with our superintendent. And there would have to be a utilities piece to their approval, so they don't go out there and cut somebody else's line. And if they would, that would be on them, and their contractor would be on the county. Just like when we issue a utility permit now, that utility company, if they cut another utility company that's adjacent to them, it's on them, not us.
Do you recall? I'm sorry.
Your concern is for, I think you said Cox or AT&T or someone
Well,
else?
not
or
only damages to the county road, but potentially
to
to
those
us.
public utilities?
Especially water. It's, you know, people just want water off their property, and they don't care where it goes, whether it be on the county road or an adjoining neighbor or across the street, et cetera, et cetera. So are there engineering plans required?
Yes,
Okay.
there are.
Good.
They can't just dump the water on the next neighbor over.
'Cause that's
So-
always a,
Part of the approval process is we're making sure, you know, where the water is going to ultimately end up, and not damage, you know, somebody else.
okay. And then I just had another random thought. Some people like to do shrubbery and stuff. Don't you often have disputes with property owners on trees encroaching the right of way, et cetera, or rocks?
That does happen. It does overgrow the right of way at times, and
Is this,
this really wasn't written so much for trees and shrubs and so forth, landscaping. No, that I didn't envision that being part of this permit process. And if somebody brought that, I don't think I'd approve it,
Okay.
especially under this.
I'm just anticipating.
Right.
Just-
Well, in line of sight issues for our district, if a tree or shrub's growing up in the right of way and it's causing problems with traffic,
That's a safety issue.
we've usually gone through and cut them down.
And then, Stacy, did you?
Correct, just like our utility permits.
Hey, Gretchen, real quick, the indemnify and hold hard language that you wanted to insert in paragraph 3, do we need to also insert that in paragraph 12?
I looked at that, sure, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. And then with regard to the question or potential concern regarding damage to other utilities within the right of way, couldn't we make it as a part of obtaining this permit that we receive proof of contacting Oki? It's a matter of a phone call or going online and you can print that out.
Yeah, the concept you're talking about is needed, necessary. Okies keeps changing constantly. I think they're having trouble maybe with staffing, so they don't do as much utility spots as they used to. And I've actually heard some private companies stepping in and taking over their assignment. It's an ever evolving and changing thing. So rather than put Okie language in there, I want to just put utilities must be located to so we didn't get damage. If that's Okie, so be it. But I'm not sure going forward it's going to be.
Number 14 might cover it.
Yeah, I've got it. You're right. Okie's in there,
Okay.
but I
I
probably need to
missed that, I
change.
apologize.
I need to probably change that to just more of a generic.
Yeah, it says agrees to notify. Would we want to change that to proof of notification to all owners who have facilities in the area encompassed by this permit?
I like that language really well. Proof of notification.
Okay, and then you could still do the via Okie one call language or something to the
Other
effect of
method.
direct contact with the owner of said facilities. If Okie doesn't do it, something like that. I don't know. If we're requiring proof of, oh, sorry, Gretchen, go ahead. If we're requiring proof up in 14, Okie, remind me their time frame. It's only good for a certain period of time. If I want to put a fence in and I call Okie, that,
Yeah, you're correct, but I don't know off the top of my head what that is.
so do we want to shorten the time period for the work to begin?
I don't have a problem shortening it to a matter of months rather than a year. And it should be an automatic revocation.
Do you all have input on the time frame as to the length that the permit is good for? What do you have a recommendation on a time frame other than a year?
To give them adequate time to line up a good contractor and a contractor to get there, because you know those are hard to come by these days. Let's move it to 6 months.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to amend the document as discussed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
What's the word to make it automatic, Gretchen? Will rather than may.
All right, I'm seconding this document with changes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, Mr. Taylor, do you have a motion to recommend the document as amended to the BOCC?
I do have. I move we recommend this to the BOCC.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Item 11 is discussion possible action to receive an update from purchasing related to the ARPA owners rep proposals, including but not limited to process and procedures of interviews, recommendations, and selection. Hi, Chantel.
We received 9 proposals. That is a list before you of all 9 firms that submitted a proposal for owner's rep. I met with engineering office as well as facilities to review these pretty thoroughly. Looked at the stated requirements that was in the RFQ regarding experience, related projects that these firms may have had, references that they submitted, which they felt best represented their work. And what you have before you are the first 4 that are on that list are highlighted, and those are recommended to the committee today for consideration to maybe further investigate or interview these proposals, but want to make sure that all questions are answered and to identify whatever procedure may be for selection of an owner's rep.
Would you, Chantel, recommend that we do this in a similar way to what was done with an ARPA consultant? These groups come in and make a presentation to this committee, and we then further our recommendations onto the BOCC, or go directly?
I think that was a successful process. That went rather well. Another way that we have done selection of professional services is to appoint a panel that will do interviews and come back to this committee as a summary. I would recommend either of those processes, but that would be the pleasure of the committee, if you would like to hear from them. I can certainly schedule these for the next infrastructure meeting and have them here present to just to give you a presentation of their experience and their expertise. But if you would like to also appoint a panel to interview, that can be done as well.
Thoughts?
What was the criteria for the ranking on this list that was used?
This is just the list of all 9 proposals. The top 4 are the recommended firms. The ranking for recommended firms was based on the RFQ, which was experience, related projects, references, expertise, and I think also introduction of a company team that would be proposed to be the representatives. And the firms had to submit resumes for those individuals. And so further, those resumes would talk about their credentials and experience as well. Pretty basic information, nothing too specific.
Kind of clarified then, perhaps. 5 through 9, in some regard, didn't meet the RFP,
Correct.
which would exclude them from further consideration.
No, there's some others on there that if you want to interview 5 firms or 6 firms instead of 4, you could, I think.
I
I mean, they
believe
check the boxes, they just maybe weren't as experienced in a category, or their presentation on paper wasn't quite as good as others.
Are there firms among this list that did not meet the terms of the RFP or the RFQ?
Yeah, I think there was one. The very
there was
bottom.
one that certainly was not an owner's rep at all. I think it was a misapplication. 5 through 8 were proposing, but in some capacity did not fulfill all of the requirements as well as the others.
I think the way to characterize that is they meet the minimum criteria of the RFQ. They just didn't impress the people that were reading their resumes.
Sorry if I misanswered your question.
Of the four highlighted, are those firms local or out of state?
All firms proposed are within Oklahoma.
I'd entertain, a presentation from those four entities to this body at some time in the future. I forget how far out some kind of January timeframe, you think?
How much time do you need to, and did,
Unless there's a specific criteria where they would need to come and present on specific projects. If this is an overall qualification interview, these firms would be prepared to come sooner.
What about cost? Were they all in the same price range or?
At this point, cost is not a factor. It's purely based on qualifications. Cost would be negotiated after a firm would be selected based on their qualifications.
Well, since they're all within the state, when's this body meet this month? I forgot this was a special. For the month of December, you guys meet,
is it the 16th?
The 27th, maybe?
The 27th is
a holiday for the
holiday.
county.
The 12th.
Would that be enough time to turn around and say, hey, if you can present? Yeah, I would move
Yes.
that the four highlighted entities be invited to the 12th infrastructure meeting to present to this body.
Is there a second?
I will second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then, is there a motion to receive the document that Chantel?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chantel.
Yes, sir.
Citizens participation, anybody? Board comments? Mr. Taylor?
Most likely my last infrastructure meeting to sit in for Charles. I thank you for allowing me to be here.
Chelsea, District 3? None? Mr. Taylor, it's been a pleasure working with you. Wish you the best in your new life. I assume you'll still be around in some capacity, right?
The rumor has it I will interact with the county.
All right. Good deal. Okay. Again, best wishes. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.